Hi, guys. Good evening. Welcome to Common Sense for Relationships. I've actually been looking forward to this since last week. I think that this has become one of my favorite pastimes. Like, I just love every Saturday when I come here and just talk love. Um, I am so excited to introduce to you the topic for today. But before we go into that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Yoma Ogidiama. I am a civil engineer and interior designer. Let me do the proper common sense for relationship introduction. So I am a wife to be of one and I'm already a mother of many, but also a mother to be of others that are coming. And I have someone very special. Today I have a married man on the show with me. Someone really special, and I'd like him to introduce himself. Mr. Uche.
Hey,
Hi.
good evening, everyone, and so good to be here again. Just last week we were here, and so my name remains Uche Chuku Emmanuel Ihonye, Uche for short, and father of many, husband to one, very important, and I think one of the very few, or if not the only married man that hangs his wedding band right here and instead of the fingers. So it's fine to be here. It's very great to be here. I look forward to a very interesting session with Yoma and all of you watching us online. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, guys, if this is your first time, you are in for an amazing conversation. We talk relationships, and it's important. It's very important because relationship is the bedrock for the home, right? So, even before marriage, you need to get the relationship right so you can have a good foundation. And then, even in the marriage, there's still relationship, right? It feels like you're dating your wife, right?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
So you still have to have like a very good dynamic about relationship to set an amazing tone for the family, for the kids, and all of that. Because relationship is the bedrock for marriage, which is the bedrock for the society. That means that if we get relationship right, the world will be a much better place. So, as much as we're going to have a good time, we're going to have fun, we're going to banter, I want you to know that there's a lot of value in here. So stay with us. You're going to have an amazing time. And please like us, follow us, and share the link with your friends. Thank you. And if you've been with us and you're still here again today, welcome back. Let's have an amazing time. We look forward to all the chats in the comment section. Today, we're going to be talking about something very interesting. I'm actually happy about it. It is asking the right questions. Asking the right questions. And they said, ask now or forever hold your peace. I saw something very interesting on Instagram. I think it was yesterday. I think you might have seen it because it's viral, like it's everywhere.
The
So
lady
there's
whose husband?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's this lady, for those of you who have not seen it, right? There's this lady on IG who had her whole whatever fiasco with her husband taped, recorded, and she posted it. I guess she was angry. And she found out that her husband had a daughter, right? And then she put it all up on social media. She was actually like
A
really
daughter that is of
screaming,
teenage,
telling
like
you,
a grown-up
like
daughter, actually.
I was panicking in my head. I'm like, who, what's going on? Like she's married to this person. She's married to someone that she doesn't know.
I like the way you're describing it, actually, because that's how I perceive it.
Yes. You know, I had a problem with her approach. She said a lot, but I don't think I'm going to go into that right here. You know, putting up her whole family, but just understanding that this person has given her life to someone that she doesn't know. That really scared me, right? So it made me realize that it's so important to ask the right questions, not just to the man, right? Because that man, I'm sure if she had asked him, obviously the man is, let's not go into it, but yeah, I'm not sure the man would have said he had a child. So what are you thinking as someone that has some experience in this regard? How did so I'm going to be very direct, right? How did your because I'm sure you met other ladies, right? You asked a number of questions around how did asking questions really impact your marital decision?
All right. So basically, I'm not even gonna lie. There are some things I know that they are can't move past hello hi without, and those were the questions I started with when I met my wife. And the funny thing is, we met in a church, and I think she wanted to join the choir, and as the music director of the choir. So she was kind of running away from me because of my looks, in quotes. Maybe I looked like all these boys, and according to her. But so eventually when we talked, and I just knew that there was something about her that I hadn't seen in any other lady, and I knew we needed to. And she happens to be the first lady I was taking on a date, or I took on a date.
Wow.
Yes. So quickly we arranged a date, and in the date I arrived there early. So this is how intentional I was. I arrived there early because I wanted to watch her walk into the place, everything I know that would. And eventually she came, and of course we asked a lot of questions. We talked and vibed on a number of levels, and so asking the right questions has helped me as a person. There's literally no, like I said during the last edition, there's literally so far there's not been any shock. There's nothing we've seen and like I didn't see this part of you and all of that, because it's one thing to ask questions, it's another thing for the person you're asking to actually be honest enough to own up to a number of things. And I can't help but go back to the video you talked about, because a number of people were like, maybe it's the woman's reaction that made the man keep that kind of
Oh
secret away
please.
from her. And I was like,
Oh
must he
please.
marry the woman? Be honest, so that people, when they say I do, they know exactly what they are
What they're
saying. I do
signing up
too. It's
for.
quite unfair. See, this is 2025, and I would always tell people, a number of people don't even want to have children. Get used to that fact. They want to be married, but they don't want to have children. Now, some want to have children, but they've made up their mind they never want to have stepchildren. They don't want that kind of complex family system. So it becomes unfair to think, oh, if I tell her I have a child, she might walk out of. Tell her, let her walk out of, because she's literally marrying you, but the fake you, not the real you. You understand? So yes, we need to ask the right questions in marriage. I did, and or the right questions. We need answers to before saying I do, so that when you're saying I do again, it'll be obvious that you know what you're saying I do to. So
Yeah. One of the things that you said is the fact that you had like a clear direction, right? You had a clear vision of the things that were important to you, So I think even asking the right questions starts with proper definitions as a person. Because if we don't bring it down to finding out the issues that people are having, right, in marriage today, we will keep having marriages break up, right? So even before people get married, I think a lot of the work, from what you were even saying, is like you're having a smoother ride compared to most. Why? Because there was a lot of proper background work that was done. So a lot of the work, I believe, is done before you walk into the marriage situation with that person, right? So I want to highlight this, right? First and foremost, what's your vision, right? Who are you? What do you want? What are the things that are very necessary, right? Recently I discovered something about myself, right? I discovered that for me it's very important for someone to have certain values. Like if you do not have those values, it will be such a problem for me. I'll just keep saying, but why? Right? I'll just be like wondering, why is this person doing this? Why is this person like this? Right? So I had to take my time, write out my values. Because I now say, and this is friendship, or it was just friendship. Something happened with me in a friendship. And when it happened, I was like, oh, this can happen. I never knew. Like, you will see that maybe someone's supposed to be committed to some extent and they can just get up and walk away. Like, okay, that can happen. That scared me. So I had to now say to myself, I need to write down the things that are important to me as a person, even in my friendships, who I decide to be friends with, because you choose your friends. It's not emotional.
Absolutely.
Right.
Actually.
So who I decide to be friends with is not just going to be, oh, we love each other, she's so cute, she's, but it's going to also include the fact that I see that this person is going in the same direction as I am. Now, if I'm doing that with friendship that I can walk away from, how important is it rather for me to do that with a marital connection that I cannot, once you make that vow, it's a covenant. It is a covenant, guys. So I think it's very important to note that and make sure that you're asking, number one, you're defining yourself as a person. What are the things that are important to you? Some people say they like people that are consistent. They like people that they do not play with their commitments. I'm one person who doesn't. If you're playing with your commitments, I'm going to have issues with you. We cannot vibe. So what are the things that are important? What have you noticed about yourself? Write them down. And when you meet someone, ask the questions in reading, because you cannot see everything, but there are certain questions that you will ask and their responses, right, would help you to understand the person better, and then decide whether you want to go ahead with that person based on what you've discovered.
Yeah.
Or
so you just talked about something very important, value. Okay. And that is where it starts from. And then you've actually gone ahead to talk about the fact that you need to understand yourself. See, the truth is, if you've not discovered yourself, you have no reason going into any form of relationship. Like, okay, not any form, but marital relationship.
Yeah.
Don't bother, because on the long run, you're confused. You don't even know what you want. You don't even know what suits you as a person. And then that's where you now have someone else come, and then you're wishing they can demystify the you that you've not even been able to understand. So it starts by, I agree with you completely on that it starts with self-discovery. What are your values? Again, in the viral video we talked about, because over the weekend I had a lot of buzzwords on Twitter with that. Yes, I was giving it to as many guys as wanted it and all of that. The truth is, you don't want to be, imagine me being a woman, or even as a guy, and I watched that kind of clip with my wife, and the first thing she would tell me is she overreacted. A lot of at least the man did not cheat on her. You're leaving out the substance of the woman's pain and all of that. That means the value, the honesty as a value, integrity as a value is nothing to you. It's enough for me to break up. If I was dating someone and the person's opinion was to be, I'll break up with you. Because tomorrow something would happen, and instead of talking about the substance of the issue, you'll be telling me this is Africa, at least the man did not cheat. As if when the man doesn't cheat, is a favor to the woman.
Saying that, I'm just also recognizing something that people need to know.
Yeah.
Because people can ask questions and then the other person can tell a lie. It's so important. Like, I feel like honesty, if you cannot be honest with someone, please don't marry them, please. I think it's so unfair. Because we're talking about asking questions, right? But there is also that part, and we're going to talk more about it, right? Where people tell lies. And people don't understand something. Avoiding an information or evading something is also a lie.
Of course it is.
So when he didn't mention that he had someone, that was also a lie, because, she's not just going to come and meet him and ask him, do you have a child? Right? So I think people need to understand, you're not, you think that you're avoiding something, but it's wrong for you to let someone who doesn't know you walk into a covenant with you. That's unfair to you, unfair to your children and the family and the home, because it could break that marriage. There are a lot of people that would just, I saw a comment and someone was like, she's married to someone she doesn't know. And that's kind of like worst thing. I think
even before the law, she's permitted to actually divorce. I stand to be corrected. Our legal brothers and sisters out there. But I think if you marry someone and discover there was a part of them they lied about, you have the right. It's called marriage under false pretense or something like that. I can't remember, but I know I've come across something like that before. And yes, you're legally allowed to take it to court that this is not what I signed up for. He deceived me and all of that. You can even sue for damages. You understand? So it's, and guys, I really don't, I need to speak to people now. Sorry, I'm actually passionate about this.
You are.
Do you understand? Now, a month before I got married, before the wedding date, I had to call my wife and I was like, babe, Alpha, if there's any aspect of me you're not comfortable with, if there's something about my physical look you're not comfortable with, if there is anything that you're not too sure that, do I really want this in this man? If it's just because you're a spiritual lady or you're a child of God and as a result you've prayed and God has given you the go ahead, but you don't look forward to the marriage nights, you don't look forward to me or to waking up right beside me that day, talk to me about it. We can actually part our ways. And I've had loved my wife from the first day I noticed her. Let me put it that way, because according to her, we had met before, but I didn't notice her. You understand? It was important to me because I don't want someone struggling to love me. I don't want someone acting or pretending to be happy in the marriage with me when she is actually not. So I see a number of guys who would, and ladies too, why are you pretending to be what you're not? What's the desperation about? See, for one thing I've discovered about marriage and relationships generally is there is someone for everyone. No matter how horrible you are, there is someone who can.
You know the funny thing, even that same person, might be able to take it under the honest. Yes. So on that, so there are people. There have been people who, I'm just remembering one of my, I don't know what I'll call it. He's my mentor, not directly, but it's someone that I look up to. He was talking about before he got married to his wife. They had a conversation, and the wife was saying that she was not really the cooking type. He had a problem with it
before they got married.
No, like they had the conversation before they got married.
Okay.
Before they got married. Yeah, and the wife was like, "See, I don't really like cooking." No.
Okay.
He had a problem with it.
Okay.
But he went back. He took his time. He thought about it, and he said, "Yo, I like this girl. I'm not going to be able to let her go because of food." So it was a decision that he made, right? And then he comes back to her and says, "I'm not going to lose you over. I cannot lose you over food."
Over food, right?
That was really nice. So they were able to now in the marriage
find a way to
handle
the food,
to handle that, and because it was something that he agreed to. So I wonder why people mislead other people, and then you want to have an authentic relationship.
So imagine those people. Sorry to cut you short. Imagine those two guys. Or those that couple actually. Imagine them getting married, and in the marriage, the man starts demanding, "You must cook for me, and you must cook fresh food." I mean, we have someone that we know that husband demands breakfast, lunch, dinner. You make from scratch. In real life, you make from scratch. Real life, not just the wife making it. It has to be fresh. That's how his mom used to make it. You understand?
In real life, now, like I'm sorry, like someone
Yes, actually. Do you understand? So whether in the scenario you talked about, and if that man had decided, "Oh, this is a deal breaker for me," and he walks away, he's not being unreasonable. He just has his values, and this person will not meet up with that value. This lady doesn't share the same value with him, and they walk away. People have come to that point where someone has to be wrong and another person has to be right. No. I might say my own is, "You must make fresh food for me every day." It doesn't make me bad. It's what I want. And my wife will say,
I feel like it's a bad person, but
you said?
Okay, that's just my opinion.
If they had, which I don't have that information.
I have a problem with that guy.
If they talked about it and the lady, out of butterflies in her tummy or out of the cash the guy was flashing at her, agreed to it and then in the marriage she shouldn't complete. You don't have that right.
Yeah, no, I know
and
that.
And the guy is not wicked, please. I don't agree.
Is the guy your friend?
No.
I think we need to lay hands on him, though.
I'm not speaking to the scenario I'm painting is, if they had that discussion And in the marriage, the guy is expecting her to do what they had talked about. And the lady refuses and is bringing up issues. The guy is not a bad person. He made it clear.
So my problem is with what he's making clear, Sha. I just want to be honest. I don't
So
want
you are right.
I don't want to be a
Definitely not the woman.
hypocrite in this
You are definitely not the
conversation.
woman for that kind of a man.
No, I don't think any woman is a woman for that kind of a
You'll be
man.
surprised.
But I think if we go down that road, we'll not be digressing. But I just had to say it out here because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I have a problem with that.
I agree
We'll talk
completely.
about it off camera. We might need to lay hands. Because I'm wondering, is it love he's doing or is it business? Are we
Well,
in
the
love
woman
or-
might end up getting worn out. But like you said, we are talking about asking the right questions. And for me, one of the foundational questions we must ask and one of the things we must agree on is our faith.
Yeah.
Even before value now. So for me, is your belief, your values, and then you can now talk about other things.
Yeah.
And why I'm talking about faith is, do you believe in God? If you say yes, are you a Christian? Are you a Muslim? And if we are both Christians, we need to talk about a number of things. You know, once we say, oh, she's a Christian, I'm a Christian,
That's it.
and you think it's a lie. You might have a Christian that does not believe in the Holy Spirit. You might have a Christian that does not believe in speaking in tongues. Do you understand? You might have a Christian that doesn't believe in a number of things. You might have a Christian that would compromise when it has to do with money in the office. Oh, I just want zero. It's just 1-0. I mean, and he will come home and tell you, oh, babe, I did this because I needed the extra money for our kids' school fees. So the intention is right, but it doesn't justify what you've done. If it's wrong, it is wrong. So we need to agree on
certain
that's
things.
our faith, the belief. We define it concretely. Like, are you a Catholic? Am I a Cherubim and Seraphim member? Am I an RCCG member? It's not funny. You understand? We need to define those things because being a Christian is not enough.
So what those things mean to you? I think in general conversation. So there was someone I was really close to.
Okay.
We're Christians. This church is not a church that I had a problem with. But we're having certain conversations and there were certain arguments. And along the line, I'm like, okay. We're probably going to, so I don't want to be with someone who we're not going to have a proper standpoint to raise our kids, right? There are certain things that I believe I hold so dear in my faith that your opinions about them is the other way around. I'm like, okay, this is not going to work because we're going to be raising the same kids. We're going to be walking the same journey. I believe as believers, we need to understand that one of the major purpose of marriage is our covenant with God, right? Our work with God, our God journey, our God purpose. If I'm going somewhere else in that God purpose, you're going somewhere else, it will be a problem.
Yeah.
It'll be a problem. I don't want someone that maybe I'm preaching the gospel, for example, and then he's like, no, what she's saying is not correct. And he's there, he's supposed to be my supporter. Like, like someone that's like, yeah, baby, go, baby. And instead it's like, so yeah.
So you
I
need
think
someone who can help you go even deeper in your relationship with God.
I watch Sarah Jakes when she preaches,
Okay.
right? And I watch her husband. Oh my God. Like, it gives me direction. Like, I know what I'm looking for in a man because
Guys,
I need
isn't
alignment.
this beautiful and a little bit of a shift from the norm? We hear people who talk, ladies now, sorry, I'm coming for you guys. We hear ladies who will talk about the when this guy just combed his beards. I like how when this guy speak the tone of his baritone, just I don't want to use some words here, but we've seen people who have misplaced their priorities. It's so refreshing to actually see. I am not even trying to patronize you, but it's so refreshing to see someone whose idols, whose okay, let me use the right word, whose role models are actually people who have climbed or who are climbing the ladder of faith, like Sarah Robert Jakes, right? Or Jakes Robert. I don't know. Yeah, Sarah. It's beautiful. You're looking forward to a man who can support you, who it's the most romantic thing for me.
Alignment is so important.
Very important.
I also have like lots of mentors as well. And the alignment is mad for lack of a better word.
It is.
So when I saw like Pastor Ching Talk and Sarah Ching Talk yesterday, like you see all those kind of things. So that's one reason
Shout
why
out to my mama and my papa.
Yeah, on the faith journey, you need to ask those questions because you don't want to be running and someone is dragging you back because they don't believe in what you believe.
See,
it affects you on your journey.
One other reason why I said we must start with faith. In fact, it begins with faith and it ends in faith. I don't mean people whose name are Faith, but I mean, is the fact that, see, if you get it wrong with, if you get into a marriage or any form of relationship with someone whose belief system, whose faith doesn't align with yours, you're going to struggle through the marriage.
Yeah.
Because as much as a lot of people do not recognize it, every other thing is built on the of your belief.
That's it.
I tell people that when they ask me like cheating on your wife and all of that, and even how sometimes when we talk about it, and she like, if you cheat, I will know. I said, the reason why I will not cheat on you is not because you will know. You will not know. You are not omnipresent and all of. You will not know. The only reason why I would strive and God will continue to cheat on you is because there is someone who is literally watching me at every point in time. So it's not because I love you. I can cheat on you and keep it away from you. That way you're not hurt and I'm still enjoying my life. No, it's true. Let's not go into that. You love somebody and let's not debate. I don't know about that. But I'm just saying that we must get, if it takes you 3 months to break down your faith, your belief, if you're a New Testament believer and the other person believes that if you wear trousers it is wrong. Talk about tattoos. We talked about these things, piercings, hair, and all of that. Okay, so talk about all of those. And but I think we need to maybe look at.
I love that we went deep into this because this is so important. But let's go into the comments. Let's see what our people are saying. Who is in the house? Okay, Miss PK says it's okay to want what I want. It doesn't make me a bad person, does it?
Not at all. Not at all.
I was just sharing my opinion. I just still feel like that guy needed some laying of hands and legs.
Okay.
Piani says, Yo, ma. PK says, Yo, ma, you cannot speak for all women.
He go shock you. I told you. That boy said, or that guy, I call him boy because his mom did it for all his life and all of that.
I personally, honestly have a problem with this. His mom did it kind of thing.
We'll come to that. Maybe let's just finish with that.
Piani says a Christian that doesn't believe in any medical help that's so true. Like, so one of my friends, we grew up without her having a father.
Oh,
she had no father for the entire time I knew her. What happened? They don't believe in medical intervention. They don't take blood. So this man died. Yeah.
So imagine let's so yes, that is actually important. Before we take that, imagine you're married to someone who does not believe in that, and your child is at the point where you need to leave or refuse the blood and die. You see why I said it's there are plenty of things to talk around this faith thing.
Tragic.
But let's continue. The next comment, please.
Witty Beauty says, Uche, let's go there. We can be believers, but we differ on different convictions. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there has to be alignment. You have to be aligned, right? Piani says, yes, so there's someone who will love you for you. There is.
That's my point. So no need to lie. Yeah. There are people that believe if you don't even beat them as the guy, that you're not a man, you don't love them. So even if you're an abusive person, it's true. Even if you're an abusive person, there's a woman for you. There's a damaged woman who comes from a very damaged background that is looking for a man that can strangle her and all of that. And that's a there's someone for you. Be you. Why does Mr. Oche hang his ring around his neck? Just curious.
Mr. Oche, what happened to your finger? Tell us.
If you look at this finger, I don't know how much the camera can zoom in. So I had a little bit of fracture that would not allow the real size of the ring to go in. Yes, I'm sharing it now and all of that. So it can't go in. If it goes in by any chance, it will be wobbly. So if you're there watching and you want to sew a ring into my life, it has to be one that can be adjustable. And I've looked for it all over. I didn't find it, but so that's why I wear my wedding band on mine. Thank you for asking.
That's we accept your explanation.
His wedding band matter.
His wedding band.
I don't explain.
No, but we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Hi, Yoma. You're not. I'm not wrong, Queen
We've agreed.
Deborah.
We've
Thank you
agreed
so
that
much.
it doesn't have to be right and wrong, actually.
No, no, she's agreeing with me that yes,
is
we
a
need to
big
lay
deal
hands
on
and
the
legs
guy.
on that guy. Cause my problem is okay. So I think we should go there.
Uche the ring bearer. Who is this one?
Victor Silva.
Okay.
Yeah, she's.
So I think we can actually move on to. I mean,
So-
a number of people have. If you have specific questions, if you're following online and you have specific questions regarding faith and belief, maybe things you feel people should ask, just drop it and
Drop it
we'll
in the
try
comment.
and-
Let's talk
and-
about
yes,
it.
let's talk about it. But moving on from faith and
Yeah. Yeah, but I think I hope that we have really, really established that it's so important, it's so necessary. Now there are some things. So let me be honest.
Okay.
I used to have this thing about if a guy has some kind of maybe like I don't want to go into details. I beg. Let me keep some things private. But there are certain things that I had like issues with, like nah, this is a deal breaker. But then I met someone.
Can you mention one of those things, if you don't mind?
Oh, it's not fair. Okay, like I had a slight issue with a guy who has his hair done.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. But then I met someone. I don't want to go into detail. And the character of that person, right? The way the other things, the guy is such an amazing person.
So impeccable, right?
He's so intentional. He's in love with God. Like you can tell, you can see through him that he loves God so much. And his love for God is so deep, right? He's such a kind person. So he was just ticking the box so big on things that were important to me. I love people that are consistent. I love people that are faithful. I love people that are loyal. So he showed those qualities. I love people that show up for God.
Did that make you start changing?
Yeah, I'm like, yo, I think.
Did you get to ask him why he had his hair or why he preferred his hair?
Nah, unfortunately, I
So
didn't get to ask. But I got to like adjust my mindset in that regard. Okay. Because I saw something that was more important. I saw that there could be someone who has this thing, but is so big on the more, like Pastor Aneta will always say that the core is so important. So like his core was so good that I was like, you know what, and it's not about him. He just showed me that someone might have this, but have something else that's so much more.
So
right?
There is. I don't know if we have a copy of the husband material, because there's something the Batures would always. Husband material is a book written by Pastor Aneta Batures, the one hosting us on their show tonight. There are the nice to haves and there are the need to have. Okay, so need to have are the things, the core values you talked about. The nice to have is I would prefer someone who doesn't really have his hair made up. But if the guy actually has all those nice to have, I mean the who has all the need to have, he's faithful, he has good values, he loves his God and all of those, and he cares about you, he's kind. Guys, kindness, in fact, in the last 4 years of my marriage, I've realized that if you marry a kind person, someone who is kind, is almost next to marrying someone who is genuine. In fact, I don't even know where to place it now. You see kindness, because you see Christians, genuine Christians who get angry and they slap their wives. They are genuine Christians. We can't take that away from them. But they are not kind. You understand?
Yeah.
So kindness is, maybe someday we'll talk about this. Let me not take much time. But what I was trying to say is there is the need to have and there is the nice to have. If someone ticks all the needs to have, we can compromise on the nice to have.
Yeah.
For example, of everything I prayed about in my wife, the only thing that God did not give to her is fair complexion. I had thought I would marry someone who was fair in complexion, like light.
Yellow papa.
Maybe something like that. Okay, but the truth is, right now, it's as if the thing has switched in my head. I don't even find the fair ladies genuinely as attractive as I used to think they were, and all of that. So
that happened.
That is a nice to have that I had to let go.
That happened to me too. I used to have like a problem with people that are What's the word? When you talk about people that are not tall, there's a word we used to describe
Just
them.
call it short now. It's okay. People that are not tall.
No,
I mean,
there's a
it's a
word.
value.
But okay.
Brief.
I used to be like, if, and I'm not saying short.
Okay.
You have to be tall.
Okay.
Then and this guy was short. Okay, not short, but
He was close to the
yeah, it
ground.
was close to. It was close to God, close to the ground. Okay, no, God is up, so close to God is tall. So it was not very tall, right? But the qualities that this guy had. Do you know that right now I'm not so freaked out again about height? I'm telling you, after I met this person.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not. I don't really like. I now know
It
that.
won't even
Oh yeah.
honestly, it won't matter in
Doesn't
marriage.
matter. In fact, at some point, I was even looking like, oh, I'm even attracted to people that are not.
My goodness. But jokes apart,
Yeah.
believe me when I say it, from my personal experience, what sustains you in marriage is your partner's kindness, your partner's commitment to the marriage, is your partner's. So those things that are not physical, they are the things that actually. I just see my wife do some things and I'm like, oh,
Wow.
I'm married, right?
Yeah.
You understand?
Let's go back to our topic.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was gonna ask you, because you're married, right? What questions did you ask your wife before you got married?
So when we moving on from the faith, the value question, the next thing is where we see ourselves in the future. I needed to know because my wife is a lawyer. Before we met, she already had her master's. And for context, her master's was outside the country. So I had to ask her, what's up? I know you love book too much. Me, I don't really like book like that. We are smart, but not because we like book. Now God just give us. You understand? So I needed to ask her the question of where do you want to settle? In the next 5 years, would you want to have gotten your PhD? I was ready for marriage, mentally and otherwise, apart from financially. But that one, we worked on faith anyway. You understand? I needed to know because, and me, I believe in Nigeria here, actually. I don't believe unless God tells me to move the next day. You understand? So I needed to know, do you want to go? Would you want to continue, go ahead for your, go on to get your PhD, which I wouldn't have issues with. The question was meant to know, for me to know, okay, maybe we'll get married. You would go, how long will it take for us to start thinking of having children and all of that? You understand? So I needed to know, what are your life's purposes? I know I would never be attracted to a woman who stays at home, housewife. While it's a big shout out to you guys, you're doing an amazing job taking care of the children
That's
at
not
home.
your thing.
Very beautiful job you're doing. In fact, you deserve more pay than even the bankers, the lawyers, and all of that. You're doing an amazing job. I'm not patronizing you. But I personally, what attracts me is a woman who gets up in the morning, dresses corporately, has things to tell me about her office, and I have something to share about my own job and all of that. So that was a personal thing.
Does she have
Those
to
are some
dress
of the
corporately?
things.
What if she dresses casually?
Well, I love ladies dressing corporately.
Corporately.
It turns me on, if I'm permitted to say that on this show. I think it does. It does actually. That's the real attraction. That's why when I see people who are dangling their breast outside and all of that, many guys are not attracted to those. Many reasonable guys are not attracted to those. You understand? So those are some of the other questions. We need to know, what are your visions? What are you looking at? I was a teacher, like I said, and she asked me the same question. And I told her what I had in. God is really working it out, actually, because there was a vision. There was something we were running to. So you can't tell someone's daughter, oh, please, don't look at the me of now. Agreed. What is the you are seeing in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, and all of that? That is one of the questions I asked. And another question I asked or we asked has to do with finances. And this is another thing that causes issues in the home. You need to know, what is your potential spouse's belief when it comes to money. You understand? Do you believe your money is your money, your husband's money is our money? So such that even when maybe there is, you know this story, I don't know if you read that story of a certain man that was paying house rent for a long time, not knowing that the wife was the owner
building.
of the building.
Was the owner of the house? Yeah.
I would divorce you outrightly.
You won't divorce him.
I will. I will.
You won't
I hate
divorce in
deception.
Jesus' name.
No, I won't divorce. I'm not married to that kind of
Don't
a
mind
woman.
me.
Actually, it's pure deception. Do you understand? So you need to talk about finances. Are you the kind of man that your wife cannot? Are you comfortable? Okay, since you are, these questions you asked before, right? Are you comfortable disclosing how much you earn to your spouse?
Yep.
And guys, this is the trick, because from my own perspective, the way I see things from, if you're going to be one, marriage is coming together of two people to become one. If you're going to be one, then you really need to be one in on all areas. I understand some women might be what we would tag, some people might be what we would tag foolish, so that they know you're earning like 10 million every month. So every other month they want Brazilian wig, every other month. So the problem is not in what they want. The problem is not that you cannot disclose, or it doesn't validate your decision to withhold that part of your life and not let your partner know. What it simply means is that you must look out for a reasonable woman when you want to get married. Look out for a reasonable woman. And just like Yoma said something earlier, that is important. You can ask questions and people will lie. But you can actually create scenarios where you need to hear them speak what they think about issues.
And then you can, so
the
deduce.
thing
with questions is, people need to understand something, right?
Okay.
It's not always about what they say. No.
I agree.
So because when people hear us talk about things like this, it might look like, oh, it's just a waste of time. People always lie. Number one, what kind of person are you even dealing with? Right? Who are you dealing with? Because a person that will tell lies to you, I believe that the chances are, if you've studied a person before you go to that place where you're now asking those questions, because I cannot just pick one lady, for example, on the streets, and I'm just asking her questions.
Oh yeah.
Do you understand? So it's based on, I've studied you and I think that this is a reasonable person. This is a good person to some extent. So I know that if I ask you a question, you will be honest to some extent. That one first. Because you hear people say, oh, yeah, people lie. There's no need to ask any questions. People will just tell you what you want to hear. What kind of person are you dealing with? Right? What kind of person are you dealing with? Because if you're dealing with the right person, then they will tell you the truth, because they know that this is also important for them. And you need to know the truth to be able to be ready.
Going back to the value we talked about.
That's one. And then two is there's more to whatever a person is saying to you than what they're saying verbally.
Yeah.
Right? There's that thing that is called discernment. So when you ask a question, you're reading beyond what the person has said. You're reading a lot of things around
and all of that. That's why I said you should paint a scenario. Sometimes have these controversial topics that are trending on this, and just ask for their opinions, and you hear them spew.
You would always, most times you find out. Guys, we're bringing in our mentors. I call them my sponsors. The Batures. Are they ready? They're not ready yet.
So maybe we should take some of the comments, because I see them pulling up, right?
Yeah.
Let's see how much we can take before we bring in our... Say yes, so who decided that a man that has hair must always shave it to be respectable? Well, if you ask me, I don't know who I'm going to ask. The only reason why I don't make money is that I don't have, actually. Now, nature cause them.
Very important question. When are we
I was coming to that.
Start having children? That is so important, because you've seen people have issues in their marriage because uncle was thinking that they're going to be having a honeymoon for like a year or 2 years, and mama is saying my eggs. So I think it's a very important question to ask, honestly.
And that is where you now ask that question of, do you even have children in the past? And so one of the things I did, I how do I put it? I didn't have a reason to believe my wife possibly had, but one of the things I would have done if I'll ask you, do you have any child anywhere? And you say no, I will spell it out. That because if you do, well, it might not be a big deal, but just imagine that you do and you didn't tell, you are failing to tell me now. I'll actually break that marriage whenever I get to find out. What I'm doing is indirectly drawing the lines, telling you this is a boundary. So it's less for you to decide to break, because I'll actually keep to my own words, my nature. I will. If I warn you about something and you go ahead and decide you want to play fast on me, I'll not give you that satisfaction of having that, I've twisted this and there's nothing you can do again. I'll forgive you, but I don't have to stay with you in the marriage.
No.
And this is a very serious one. You can't have a child and hide the child from me. Who told you I wouldn't have accepted the child? So yes, when do we want to start having children? How many children do you want to have? It's a big one, because women these days will tell you, the journey is, and it's not even like it's wrong. Actually, I was there when my wife had our first baby, and if she had said she doesn't want to go through that process again, I don't think I would have pushed her to go ahead. It's painful. It's a very, I don't
Difficult.
have a word for it. It's a very funny and difficult 9 months that they go through. So you need to know, if you're someone like me that you don't really mind, well, it's fine, but you still need to ask. In case the person wants a football team, 11 children, you need to ask. He's not being unreasonable for thinking he wants that. No. And you are not being unreasonable for thinking I can't go through this life-threatening process for more than maybe 3-4 times. You understand? So how many children and all of that? We talked about adoption. Babe, are you in we talked about this one. I asked her, what if we get married and children don't come?
Yeah.
And we are looking at time, first year, second year, third year, fourth year. My wife was open to adoption, and I was very 100%. I was very, very open to it. That we adopt one while we wait on God.
And then there's also how to raise the kids. You know, I
Yes.
personally, nobody's gonna pick a cane and flog my child. And so if someone's gonna say, I believe in flogging, I'll say, have a nice life. I wish
Is
you
it
all
I
the
believe in
best.
flogging, or so there
So
are other forms
discipline, methods of
right?
disciplining. Yeah, no, we should. I believe in disciplining
Okay.
kids. I just
So what
do not
about those
want
ones that our
anybody
parents will
to-
give us?
I'm not giving birth
at
to
the
a
point
goat.
at the point of misbehavior. You
No,
just,
there's a difference between a
you
spank.
just bam.
Yeah, there's a difference between a
Give
spank
my
and
son
then
one of
a
those
cane.
spans.
And the minute you have cane like this, the next morning you come, you not see me and the children. So I will first tell you before
Yeah.
we.
So it's important you talk about
because
it. I agree.
I believe in proper discipline. I even think that it's more work to discipline a child properly. The cane is just an excuse for laziness, if you ask me. You don't want to do the real work, taking your time, sitting with the kids, talking
Were
to
you
them.
flogged while you were growing
Yeah,
up?
I was.
Did that make you resent your parents?
Not at all. Not at all.
What do you think that cane did to you? Did it affect you mentally, or
To be honest, I don't think my decision about flogging is personal. I think that because I grew up in a world where it was normal, I turned out
children?
okay, but I could have. Then I had my parents were quite balanced with other things, so there were so many other things that made up for that cane. But we need to understand that the world is always evolving, right? We have to continuously be evolving. So as much as my parents did an amazing job, I need to identify the things. They were not perfect.
yeah?
So I need to still identify the things that they did that I wish that they had not done.
And I
Like
agree
my
with
mom,
you.
my mom doesn't like that she caned her kids. She looks
Nice.
back and she's like, I shouldn't have. So why would I do that to my child?
I agree with you
Right?
completely.
Because I believe that it's bullying, if you ask me, and then it communicates the wrong thing.
I don't agree it's bullying, but I think
Are they ready?
Batures are ready. Or
Are we ready?
so let's bring in the Batures now to, they've been in this thing for a very long time.
Yay!
All
All
teenage
the
children
way
and
from
all of that.
Abuja.
Hi.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Can you hear us?
Hello, everybody. I hope
We
you
cannot,
can hear
Let's hear them.
us.
we cannot hear you. Oh my, this network. Okay.
Okay, so let's take some of the questions, or
Do we have more
comments
questions
now.
or comments?
Let's see.
Please share with us your questions that you think you would like to ask.
Victor
Right.
is saying, when it comes to that money matter, all men need to go on their knees and speak with God one-on-one for the wisdom to manage your reality. Every situation is different. Brother, I believe you're a guy. That was why I told you that you must make sure you marry a reasonable woman, because in an ideal situation, there's no reason for hiding anything, including your finances, from your
Yeah.
wife. So get it right with marrying a reasonable woman.
Yes, that's it. That's
Victor
that's
is
how to
saying
sort
you're
out.
really making me laugh.
No,
Okay,
no.
Mrs. Batray is
Mrs.
saying Victor is
Batray.
making her
Yeah.
laugh. Okay, let's take some more. Maybe 3 more. Shouting and flogging is lazy approach to parenting.
I
You simply
agree.
don't want to do.
You don't want to do the work. You don't want to do
It's
the work.
also
That's my
a,
opinion.
it's also
though.
a knowledge gap thing.
Oh yes.
Yes. So we can't really call it outright laziness. For me, I wouldn't flog my child. But yes, he needs to know when my tone has changed from negotiate, something we can negotiate, and when my tone has become that, hey, this is not going to
I'm
be. And
insisting.
I mean, foolishness abounds in the heart of children. The rod of correction doesn't have to be cane, but whatever means of correction, there has to be something that once you, maybe the way you look at them and all of, there has to be something, because children will push you to know what your boundaries are. If you don't draw those boundaries and sternly to believe me.
I remember when my niece actually was with me, and then she did something, and I told her, I said, girl, it's not going to work. She thought I was joking. She pushed. That's down like, girl, you're let me in. You're getting ready.
I agree.
Because she did. I said, my sister, you're not going to have this thing. That's the punishment. And I did it till the end. You know, and do you know that helped her, because she discovered that anytime she's with me, if I say this is it, that is it. I didn't flog. I was not even shouting or even raising my voice or acting like I was angry. I just insisted, sister, you're not going to have this because you did this.
That's fine. That's fine. I think another question we need to ask before getting into marriage is the issue of your siblings, your in-laws in general, or your people, both sides actually, our relatives, your mother, your father, your brother, your uncle, your grandfather's late fiance's husband, the one that broke anything it is. You need to talk about these people. First of all, like I mentioned the last time, personal take. Within the first 1 year of marriage, should come living with you. They should say hello, hi. And my reason is simple. It gives room for you to understand your spouse for yourself, not someone pointing out something that naturally you are okay with it. But by the time they start telling you, is this how you are going to be allowing this woman to do this thing? Or this is your husband. He cannot even wash his own plates. So that first 1 year is not a time to entertain external opinions.
And even beyond that, right? I think it's also something to establish. You need to ask your partner what his take is on family inputs.
That's why I said. That's why I say it's something we talk about, right? I think
what is your take?
They should come in and leave in.
Not even just come in. What is your take generally on their inputs? What
in every aspect, right?
So what do you believe that your mom has an input in this marriage? I'm serious, because you'll be shocked.
It down so that people don't misunderstand.
Yes, so for example, you hear people whose mother can call their son, for example, and say, oh, your wife needs to do this for me. Your wife didn't. Do you understand? And then the woman is struggling and like, did I marry this man, or did I marry his mom and his dad? And do you understand? So do you believe that? And there are people that have decided when they're getting married that, see, this marriage is me and my wife. So you need to ask your partner, are you that kind of person? You see women having issues with their mother-in-laws and you wonder, I always wonder why. I say, I don't understand. Where is the husband? Like, because if I were a guy, my wife cannot have issues with my mother. Not because my mother is good, but because I will not allow it.
There's something I would like to share at this point. Again, you know, I don't know why some of my talks I will say the guys and some other ones the ladies. Guys, there is something I've found out. My mom, for example, even my mother-in-law, I just say, I don't need to tell them what is permitted in my home and what is not permitted. And that's because growing up to becoming the husband I am today, they know what my stance is on a number of things. So for the guy out there, one of the reasons I believe these things can happen in marriage, where you have our parents calling you and trying to tell you how your home should be run, is the fact that you've probably been an irresponsible child. Sorry, I'm actually coming hard on this now.
That's really hard.
It's probably that because you've been an irresponsible son in every other aspect of life.
Or you've been a mommy's boy.
You understand? So, for example, you've never had to pay house rent for yourself. You've never had to send money home to your parents to do something. You've never had to contribute even mentally to things that have probably put the family where it is positively.
I don't really agree.
And you think the first thing that I'm coming, you believe that the first place you'll be becoming assertive is in the choice of who you want to marry. So literally the only thing you're being assertive on is, this is who I want to marry. That's where it begins from.
So, Mr. Uche, I don't agree with you. So
bring it on, let me hear you.
There are people who are, in fact, I know guys who are they're doing very well, but their parents control the marriage.
What do you mean by doing very well?
They take care of their family. In fact, one of the reasons why the parents are controlling is because, this has been our ATM, you want to come and the guys allow it. So it's not always, I'm just saying, it's not always because they don't take responsibility.
No. My talk on responsibility is not financial alone. No, it's not. See, you can be the breadwinner of the family, but you're under the control of your. You're still a mommy's boy in the very negative, most negative, barest minimum way of presenting
So
it.
the issue
So
here
what I'm talking
is
about
the
is
mommy's boy tendency.
before you even get married, they should have. See, I have issues with people who present who they want to marry, and without even giving you any chance or any this thing, your parents are like, no, it cannot be. See, how I interpret it, I might be wrong. How I see it is that they've never had to trust your sense of reasoning. And it's even an indictment on the parents too. One of the things, my wife is from Akwa Ibom State. I am Igbo. I remember the first time I spoke to my parents, the two of them, I'm like, I think I found the woman I want to marry. I visited them. My dad was like, oh, okay, what's her name? Where is she from? The moment I mentioned Akwa Ibom, he was like, no. And he gave his reasons for saying no. Are his reasons valid? Yes. Are those his realities? Yes. But what has that got to do with the woman I want to marry? I'm not saying your parents cannot advise you on some things you might not even see in marriage.
Yeah.
No, there has to be some, like other people have to tell you what they think. But my mom said something to my dad right there and then. She said, we've watched this guy grow, okay, and we've seen him make some decisions in his life. We've seen him become the very person he is right now. I think if he has seen every woman or different women from different places and he's saying there's something special about this lady from Akwa Ibom, then we should trust him enough to know, or at least give him the chance to explain why the things that are making him decide that this is the woman it is. That we can't just say, oh, because of where she comes from. That from her personally, she has made up her mind a long time ago that whoever I say I want to marry, she would not have any issue with it because she trusts me. She knows she has done her homework well in giving me the right values and all of that. So that's why I'm trying to correct. Remember, it's the financial thing. I'm not talking about it just being but you couldn't be that guy that you knew the course you wanted to study, but your parents insisted it should be this other course. You went along. You knew where you wanted to kickstart your life. Every other thing you've yielded to them, and then in marriage you think it's they're not even used to you being assertive for anything. So that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can have the batteries now. Hello,
Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
yeah.
Can you hear us?
Here this time.
Hi, Emirates.
We can hear you.
Yes, sir.
We can hear
we are
you
listening
too.
now. We can hear you too.
Hello.
Good to see you, sir.
Awesome. Great show today. I mean, we're having so much fun over here. I was just laughing about a lot of things. Victor, you're on a roll today. I see. It's like Victor came with the pepper, then look for trouble cap. And Yoman and Uche, thanks for keeping it real. I mean, the conversation is so interesting. Well, really, questions have to be asked.
Yeah.
You can't just do life, do relationships and be superficial.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that you just say, okay, I'll just try it. If it doesn't work, no problem, I leave. Even if you want to leave, it's like you're tearing yourself away from something. It's not as easy as I'll just walk away. Even when there are no children involved, divorce is not easy. So it's something that everybody needs to like pay attention to. When you say I'm getting married, when you say I want to go out with somebody, I want to do life with this person, you have to ask those questions. Now, sometimes people say, oh, but it's uncomfortable. When I ask the questions, things get tense, it spoils the mood. I really want us to just have everything nice and sweet and romantic and all of that stuff. And because of that, you don't ask those important questions. The fact is, whether you like it or not, so that tension you are trying to avoid, one day, you will face it. So it's not a matter of when are you going to face it. Are you going to face it now, early on in the relationship, or are you going to face it later on, right? When maybe, for instance, you're married and it becomes a lot more difficult, to walk away compared to if you did it earlier, like before the wedding, before you get married, before you say I do. Yes, before you say I do, ask those questions. Ask enough to let you know, okay, I can go ahead, or to let you know I need to run away from this because it's not going to work. Yeah, and sometimes the person may be sweet and nice, may fit your profile when it comes to packaging and the outward appearance and stuff. But when you start drilling down and asking the questions, you may uncover certain things that no, I can't deal with this, I can't live with this, I cannot do life with this person, I can't keep up with this for the rest of my life. So yeah, those questions are really important. And please be bold enough, the way Victor said, don't be afraid, just say it. Yes, don't be afraid, just ask the question and get the answer that you need, get the clarity that you need, get the information that you need so that you can know what to do. Do I say yes? Do I say no? Do I stay? Do I go? Yeah.
I see it from the context of the fact that asking questions does, let me see, two, three things for me. Number one, asking questions saves you time. It saves you time, because it something that you would have wasted a number of years trying to find out.
Yeah.
Ask the question, even if they lied to you, you asked it, right? Let it be that you asked it and they told you a lie. Then finding out the responses to a question is a different skill set, but ask the question first. Let it be that when you ask the question, there was an answer. Let it be on the record that you asked the question. It saves you time, number one. Number two, it saves you pain, okay? Because you know how they say time heals all wounds, but it also means that wounds that are left to time actually pain a lot more than wounds that are healed in time. So if you ask question, it means that you deal with the pain immediately, just like the example that you gave, where you sometimes maybe you're afraid that if I ask the question, the person will walk away, even though he was a nice guy. It's better to have that pain earlier on than for the pain to fester and mature, and then many years down the line, you now say, "Oh, I should have had this. I should have dealt with this pain 5 years ago."
Yeah.
So it saves you time. So there's time, there is pain, and then there is asking questions actually helps you um, manage the investment of your emotional resources. Hmm? Manage the investment of your emotional resources, because every relationship you go into, you are investing emotionally in it, right? So you need to, when you ask the right questions, you have to check, um is it worth my emotional investment? Do I need to make this investment? And when you ask those questions, those will become determinants to know whether you need to proceed or whether you need to, pause and say, okay, he's a nice guy, he checks my boxes, but we can't do life together. Because the truth is, there are a lot of, when they say, "Oh, I'm looking for God-fearing men," they always, women say that, "I'm looking for God-fearing men." There are some God-fearing men that, no offense to them, they have the things that they want, and the things that they want are valid to them. It doesn't make them sons of hell or sons of the devil. They fear God, but they like certain things that are different from what you as a lady may like. Like there's a comment in this section. There was a comment that was made, and there's somebody that is God fearing. He's a man of faith, but does not believe he should take medicine. Right? So you need to ask those questions, because when you have gotten to the point where people want to take the walk to the altar, you need to ask some questions. Do you believe in medical science? As a man of faith, do you believe that medicine can heal me as well as the miraculous? So, do you believe in both the miraculous and the medicinal? Those are valid questions that you should ask when you are going to take a long walk with someone. Okay? Because the person may fear God, he may be God fearing, but he doesn't believe he should take medicine. He may be God fearing, doesn't believe he should do CS. And it does not make him a son of hell. It just means that that's how his faith is. And on those matters of conviction, if you don't agree with him, you are going to have a very bitter relationship within the course of your marital life. So ask questions. Ask questions. My father used to say it this way. He says, let's talk from sense to nonsense. Do you understand? Let's talk from sense to nonsense. Ask the questions that make sense. Ask the questions that even sound like nonsense. Do you understand? Because you need to be clear. I always give the finally I will say this. I say my I know these days they say guys don't have time. Everybody we don't have time to be wasting with a woman that is giving us tough time. Let me be very real with you. When it was my own, when I asked my wife out, see her here, she's staying here. When I asked her out, well, this should be my final thoughts. When I asked her out, guess what she did? She gave me foolscap sheets. I don't know if this generation they still know what foolscap sheet is. 80 leaves exercise, that 80 leaves exercise book, the long one. Foolscap sheet. She wrote questions front and back. Eh? Questions, different questions that she needed answers to. Are you hearing me? And she put at the top, the instruction was answer all questions, not that attempt all questions. I'm a student of English. I read English well. Answer all questions. So it means that attempt means if you try number one, you don't have the answer, move to number two. But answer all questions means that you must answer number one before you can move to number two, which means all of those questions on that foolscap sheet, she needed answers to it. And I think it's a template that both guys and ladies can come. Ask the questions and get answers and give yourself a level of comfort. Are you going to know everything about the person? Definitely not, but you will clear some doubts in the process. I don't know if that makes sense.
Nice. Back to you, Tia. Yoma.
Thank you, thank you very much, sir, and thank you, ma.
I think I like the full sheet approach.
Yeah, you should.
It's working for
But
me.
now you don't have to do the full scalp. You can actually send them a Google,
No, we'll do the
yeah,
Don't mind
it
me, I'm
is
just
Google
joking.
form. Actually, they'll just tick, and
yeah.
automatically
So,
you get it saved on your hard drive as
just
evidence.
aligns with what we're saying about knowing your values, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like even before you meet that person, we need to sit down with ourselves, right? We need to sit down. Like for single people, lucky you, you're off the market. But for those of us that are still on the streets, right, you need to really sit down and ask yourself those questions before you even meet the person, right? Yeah. Comment. Let's see what
Yes,
we have on the
I saw a
comments.
comment.
Okay, let me read it for you.
Mhm.
Victor Silva says, I don't agree, Uche. A lot of men have done everything you mentioned, yet they can't make decisions without their parents' input. These are responsible men. So
So
Biko,
Biko,
define it well.
So Victor, I think I would like you to define what a responsible man in that context is. Because I don't understand why a responsible man would not be able to make decisions without their parents' input, even when they are married. In fact, I dare say, I don't understand why a responsible man cannot make any decision without their parents' input after the age of 25. Let me be that liberal.
Or why a
Why?
responsible man cannot stand up for
What they
what
truly
he
believe
wants or
in,
believes
you understand?
as
So
an
I can
adult.
understand you going to ask your parents, like, on this particular issue, I'm a bit
What do you
confused.
think?
That's when you're not married, right? But if you're married, you have to, if you're married, then you have to have sorted that out with your spouse, and with her permission or his permission, you can now decide, okay, this kind of issue is finances. I think your mom is better at finances. Oh,
Let's
this kind
talk
of
to
issue
her.
has to do with our children's education. I think my dad he's more knowledgeable there. So it's okay to actually get parents' input when you've both agreed.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy and you're married and you can't make decisions without your parents' input, bro, you are not being responsible. I'm sorry. Who do your parents go to talk to when they need to make their decisions? Your grandparents that are late? Or you want to be gray and old before you know that you are
become an adult.
man enough to actually take your decisions? See, it's not, you might not be able to get everything right. And it's okay to make some decisions and discover that, oh, that was not the right one. You learn. That's how you grow. So trying to avoid everything by running to your dad every now and then, man, you can't be attractive to me if I was a woman. Yeah, there's no justification for it. I stand to be corrected. And thankfully, I'm not a woman and I'm married, actually. So questions, asking the right questions. Are there still questions, Yoma, that you think
I think that's
people ought to
I
think?
think it's a lot. But I think that we've really set the bedrock, right? Because if we decide to speak about every area that we should be
Yeah.
asking about
The
will
whole
be
year
here.
won't even be enough.
Will
Yeah.
be here. So what is important is for us to know that it's very essential to ask questions. Find out everything possible before you meet that person. What are your values? What are the things that are important to you? Do you even know who you are? Do you know the things that are important? Do you know the things that could happen to you or that the other person could do to you that will be a problem? What are the things that you hold dear? Identify them, and when the person comes, make sure to ask questions in those lines to find out if you align with the person.
And believe the person. So I'll be rounding off on this. When you ask these questions, or when you like I said earlier, instead of questions, you can actually create scenarios. You can actually watch how they react in certain circumstances. When they give you these answers, when they give you their perspective, when they tell you who they are, make sure to believe them. Don't assume they don't know what they are saying. No,
Yeah.
if they say that they don't mind abortion, that they don't think is, believe
my
them. Don't
brother.
think they are naive. They're not naive. They know what they are saying.
Yeah.
And also, I'll wrap up on what I think Mrs. Batures said. Either ways, there's going to be pain. So it's either you ask that question, because a number of people, especially guys, when you ask them something they know they don't have the right answer to, they turn to either bully you in their behavior or something.
Yes,
If
yes.
you chicken into that,
Yes.
believe me, you would have difficulty
Manipulative
even
behaviors,
asking. Yes, even asking them. If you walk into such a guy having sex with someone else in your marital home, you'll not be bold enough to ask,
To
because you
ask
have
him.
taught him how to get away with it by just forming.
Yes,
Why are you asking that question? Don't do that. Confront
Don't
them with
allow
it.
that.
If they get angry, allow them to settle. Come back to the question. They have to answer the question. And finally, please, don't think anything is off limit when it comes to asking questions. There's nothing, literally nothing you cannot ask. As long as it pops up in your head, ask. Be vulnerable too. You that they are going to ask. Okay? Be vulnerable enough to actually let your partner that is asking the question know whatever it is. You're spending eternity with this person, or a lifetime with this person. So on that, I think I'll just
Thank you
leave
so
it to you,
much,
Ma.
Uche. Thank you for being here with us
Thank you
today.
very
It was
much, Yoma.
such an insightful
I've
time.
enjoyed myself, actually.
And thank you to everyone who's listened to us, who has joined us today. We'll be back again next week, Saturday. In the meantime, do not forget to like. Do not forget to share this with your friends. Share it with as many people as you can. And please do not forget to subscribe. See you this same time next week. And remember, common sense is not
Come on. It's really not
so
common.
Bye, guys.
Bye.